I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order, and for all those who can, please rise for the pledge, and Mr. Bishop, will you lead us in the pledge? Sure.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Brittany for roll call.
Vice Chair Robert
Here.
Mark Stroud.
Here.
John Boyle.
Here.
And Chair Joseph Rivers.
Here.
Town Manager John Sexton.
Here.
We have excused Dan Esco.
And Mr. Esco's absent. Let's go ahead and have a motion for the minutes of January 23rd, 2023.
So moved.
Is there a second? Motion is second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Have a motion for the minutes of February 27th, 2023.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. And then review and sign, public address to the board. Public address to the board. This is a time when the public may address the board on any item listed on the meeting agenda or on any issue or matter of the town. If you intend on addressing the board at this time, we ask that you do the following. Please identify yourself by name, address, or the company institution you represent. Public address to the board segment will last no longer than 30 minutes. Please make your comments concise and try not to repeat statements made by others. Please address your comments to the board chair. Discussion or debate on any issue may not take place at this time. The chair or the designee may answer questions on procedural matters. Please be cordial and respectful of others. If anyone wishes to be recognized when the board discusses an agenda item, please make that request at this time. The board chair may grant this request. Address comments to the board chair and please be concise. We are meeting in person, making this meeting available via Zoom for the convenience of the public. Since we are meeting in person, will not be responsible for any technical difficulties, so if you'd like to be sure of participating, please attend in person. Anybody wishing to address the board? Seeing none. Moving to number 6, review and sign warrant for May 1st, 2023. Mr. Hutchinson.
Yes, thank you. There are just a few changes from the last version that we got. The Finance Committee had pretty clear recommendations on some of the funding sources for some of the items. They were especially in favor of taking the larger capital items and borrowing for those. There are 3 of those. The 2 from the highway DPW, there's the loader at 188,888. There's the roof repair at 160, and the third item is the police cruiser at 65,000. They kind of included those things in let's borrow for those major items. Apparently that's been the tradition here, and they were all comfortable with it, and I'm comfortable with it. I had originally taken it all out of free cash, and they said, let's spread the payments out a little bit, and if that's the way they prefer to do it, I'm comfortable with that.
Okay.
That leaves...
You're saying they're asking us to borrow money when we don't have to. We had the funds right there on your recommendation. Take it out of free cash, stabilization fund, etc. Now they don't like this and they want us to borrow instead. I think that is a poor idea myself.
Some towns think the same way you do. Apparently it hasn't been the tradition here.
You borrow when you don't have the money available. We obviously have the funds available to pay for this. We should pay for it. The town meeting votes it.
There are 2 other items that they're recommending not come from free cash. One is the police administration car, which they're recommending from capital stabilization, and then a sewer bill overage from the city of Pittsfield, coming from sewer stabilization.
So that's
So
sewer
aside from
stabilization's Article 14 and the police car's Article 15, right?
I'm sorry?
Article 14 for the sewer stabilization,
Yes.
and then Article 15 for the
Capital
administrative part, yeah.
Yeah. So that is the major change. I did also, at the request of the accountant, put all the new money articles, assign it to FY '24. And I think those are the only changes from the last.
Tom, I know the police department put in for 2 cruisers, so you're gonna borrow one and use free cash for the other one?
Borrow one in capital stabilization
Okay.
for the other one, yeah. And, yeah, so I have those laid out in the money articles piece. I've been working on the motions and explanations. I'm not really ready for that. As soon as I get a draft of that, we can have I'm going to call town council and get together with the financial people and the moderator and have our usual pre-town meeting conference call to make sure that all the motions pass muster.
Tom, on Article 16, you guys may have discussed this last meeting, it says sidewalk repairs. Does
Yes.
Bud have a list of what sidewalks, just so we have clarity on that for residents?
Um,
Or which
There
sidewalks?
are far more sidewalks, kind of like streets.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I don't think he has prioritized those yet, but certainly the ones most central to downtown is what he's looking at.
okay, all right. Just so you can have clarity, because I know there's some neighborhoods that are looking for sidewalk repairs, and if they,
Yeah, and again, balancing the extent of disrepair with the amount that they're traveled is the same.
oh, I absolutely agree, just to list them, say, okay, my focus is downtown, and my focus is Main Street, and my focus is,
Yeah, he does not have a list like that, similarly to the way that he doesn't have a more fleshed out list as to the longer term for the road repairs. But I can certainly have him work on
Tom, I think it'd be very beneficial to the voting public to have a fleshed out road repair schedule for this year and for the next couple of years. That's a hot button issue. As you know, people call all the time, and some of the streets are in horrible condition. I went down Frederick Drive, Sleepy Hollow. There's just a disaster down there.
yeah, I agree with you, John.
No, if Bud could get, if we're gonna do this year, this calendar year, and next year we're gonna do that, when people ask, you can say, here's your street, it's on the schedule.
it. Yep, I will try to get him to do that.
All right, thank you.
Or maybe even just
He did mention some when he was in here.
Yeah, he did, but.
yeah, we should get a list and publish it, though, because it always comes up, John, right?
You must get calls all the time. Oh, y'all gotta get calls
Yeah.
on the streets, like, but what happened last week, Joe, you weren't here. I asked Bud this, what streets are you planning to do? Maybe I didn't make myself clear. With the new money you will get from 290, chapter 90, ARPA, and money in your highway budget. And he started listing the streets that have already been paid for, but just weren't done yet last year.
Oh,
Over by me, as a matter of fact, Judith, Sunset, and Edward. And they're scheduled to be done as soon as the frost breaks. So I bet, when I asked him, I didn't want to publicly argue with him, but what's in the future? If you could have a list, we are proposing to do this year, if the funds allow, 19, 24, 25, 26. Nobody's gonna hold your feet to the fire if you don't come through, but
well, I think that is a real concern. I think everybody, if he puts a road out there and it doesn't get done, everyone will hold his feet to the fire.
I don't think
No,
so.
you can't-
Because that's the way it was done in the past.
Yeah.
Nobody burned anybody.
It's like, here's what we have based upon the fund, and here's a priority. We get the data that tells us what the priority is based upon the street scheme. And if you're above the line, you plan to get done based upon what we know, and if you're below the line, you're not gonna get done this year.
Another thing that he's balancing out there is, all we're doing is we also have to protect the roads that we have that are relatively new, but maybe 5 or 10 years old, and are starting to show a little bit of cracking. So he makes sure to crack seal all of those as well, because we have to maintain our good roads as well as start bringing our poorer roads
And
up.
hopefully Paul Mark's, his movement for the roads, 25 million, I think, for Berkshire County.
Yeah,
So,
well, for rural
for rural, yeah.
areas, which is both the Cape and
Oh, yeah, forget those Cape people.
Western Mass, yeah.
No.
If there was some kind of a list, I'm sure it would be very beneficial to your administrative assistant, Alicia. Because I'm certain that she gets calls all the time. If she had a list and said, well, it's proposed to do it this year, next year, or the year after.
Right, and the minute that didn't happen, he would
No.
never hear the end of it.
I don't believe
We would,
that.
we would support him on that.
And, well, that's good to know.
Yeah, and it was just, like in the past, it would just, if it didn't get done, it would be kicked into next year. Look we ran out of money, sorry.
Well, and the following year, there might be different priorities because of something that happened to some roads. So
That happens.
it's a moving target to some extent.
The issue is we have no communication now.
Right.
Yeah,
So we just want a little communication,
Yeah.
and then start there, and then
Yeah,
go.
well,
Yeah.
and, yeah.
something to tell the
But
people.
let's,
And he will come in with his street scan presentation relatively,
Yep.
so we have the technical stuff ironed out.
anything else on this that we want, or are we just waiting for a motion to accept?
No, and just to let you know that Heather, upon your approval, Heather will print it out on the official paper,
Official, yep.
which is, it's numbered paper, so in case there were any changes, she didn't want to
Talking about
print
the
it
warrant,
out
Joe?
Yeah.
before the vote.
I would just like to ask the chairman, Article 25 is by petition.
Yep,
And as I said last week, the board has approved this twice in the last 3 to 4 years. I'm not here to argue it, but I would like to vote on that separately, because I would like to opportunity to vote against it. I support the whole warrant, but I don't support that.
Well, and the vote to approve the warrant as written is not the same as voting to recommend each of the articles on it. If you wanted to, you could go through that as well and have those recommendations.
Well, recommend them all except 24.
Well,
24, 25.
Oh, 25, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Hey, that's what I'd like to do. Consult the rest of them.
but that recommending the articles would be different from approving the warrant
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
publication.
All right,
Well, in a sense,
Which would be
it's a
fine.
recommendation to the town meeting, because we're not gonna vote on it again.
Well, if you do have that option.
Well, if we do it right now, we don't have to worry about it in the future.
It would be it
Well,
would still be a separate vote from
let's-
approving the warrant. That would be recommending various articles and going through.
let's do this if we can, to your question as well, if you guys, everybody agrees. We'll approve the warrant, well, we'll take a motion to approve the warrant tonight, and then on our April 10th meeting, we can go through each one of the articles and recommend or not recommend.
And then you
'Cause
can
then we have it on
report
the
those at
agenda.
town meeting.
Right,
And if there's a split vote, you report the split vote, and if
Yep.
not.
Yep.
But, yeah, once the select board does approve a warrant article, the board is generally expected to take that position with
Okay.
individuals.
yeah.
I'd go along with
And
that,
not
but
publicly fight
I'm
about
pretty
it.
certain that we don't need to go through each and every warrant article, because I have the sense the board strongly supports it by recommending this warrant. I'm
You-
just
you can
interested in an
vote on it
opportunity to vote against
We
25.
can do that too. We can just, let's go with the first one to approve the warrant, and then, John, if you want to make a motion on 24,
25?
25, then we can do that tonight, I think.
Okay, great.
Yeah, because it's review and sign the warrant, so I think it's covered
Yeah,
under
yeah.
agenda. Okay, so is there a motion to approve the warrant?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second, any discussion? All in favor of approval of the warrant?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstentions, motion carries. Okay, the warrant's approved. Mr. Boyle?
I move that the board recommend against Article 25, because, well, if somebody would second it, I would state my arguments.
Second.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay, motion is second. Any discussion?
Yes, we have, in the last, as I said, in the last, say, 5 years, this issue has come up twice. The select board has studied it meticulously and determined that there's great advantages to having it at the Community Recreation Association. And the biggest issue is visibility. And visibility, when we're trying to increase voter participation in town functions, is vital. In other words, you can get people to vote when they see you on Main Street over there. But when you're down on this, down here on First Street, you're just off Main Street. And I've been out there several times running for re-election or election or something, working for a candidate. And the ability to be out on Main Street and hold a sign for your candidate is a real participation in democracy. And we should encourage that, as the chairman wants to do it. How can we encourage voter turnout at the annual town meeting or any town meeting? And I think at this time we're all thinking about that, how we can do that. Maybe change the date, maybe change the time. We can discuss that another day. But that's why I urge the board to vote against this article.
I agree with Mr. Boyle. And how many times were we standing out there and somebody, oh my God, I almost forgot to vote, and I saw you out here, so
Yeah.
that's why I stopped.
Slam on the brakes.
Yeah, totally agree. Voter participation, visibility. I think being down here is gonna add to traffic down here for the people. Maybe it won't, because I really think you'd see a major decrease in the amount of voting that happens if we moved it down here. This is a great building. It's a great building to have our meetings at. It's good to have some meetings at for voting. It needs to be right out there on Main Street where people are driving by and the visibility's out there.
I don't recall the select board analyzing this. I do recall it coming up for another petition, and it was a pretty lively debate at town meeting. I don't recall us doing an analysis. But I'm a firm believer, if somebody wants to bring forward a petition, that they can do so, present their case. This is, I believe, it's focused around American Disabilities Act, and access to the CRA for those that are disabled is challenging.
I'd like to clarify something on that, John.
Yeah.
The petitioner is a member of the ADA committee. The ADA committee didn't bring this up and didn't vote on it.
I didn't say that. I said it's an ADA
Right,
issue,
right.
not from the committee.
And I'm just clarifying that it didn't, because that was what was brought up initially, was it was a member of the ADA. And I don't want to confuse people to think that this was a petition from the ADA committee.
No, I agree. That's a good clarification. But I'm a firm believer that let the people bring forward a petition, let them make their case in front of the town, and
Absolutely, Joe. Nobody's arguing about that.
yeah.
But it's important for the select board to stake out their position too.
But I don't know
That's
what
all
the
I'm trying to do here.
I don't know what the other side of the story is, because it's not in front of us. So I won't support the motion tonight.
All the motion is, though, is all we're gonna do is support saying we want the elections at the community house as a board. That's all we're doing.
Right.
We're not saying they can't do their petition.
No, I know.
And another thing, when you're over there in front of the Union Block, people that are voters, of course the voters come and go, but people that are holding signs out there, they have the opportunity to take advantage of services that are available right there. Food, bathrooms in the Dalton restaurant, and in fact the workers actually go over to the Dalton restaurant to eat their noon meal. And the building is handicap accessible, and never been an incident or a complaint that I know of about being over there.
Okay, so there's a motion, we have a second, we have discussion. Any further discussion? So the motion from Mr. Boyle is to for the board to vote not in favor of Article 25.
Correct.
Correct?
Correct.
All right, all in favor of that motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I'm opposed. Abstentions? Motion carries.
Thank you for indulging.
Next is the discussion of the pre-town meeting educational sessions. Ms. Hutchinson?
I think last year's went tremendously well, and the only change this year is that the idea that we might have it before the select board meeting instead of after, as a, sort of earlier in the evening, and from 6 to 7, it would be a defined time, and we could probably wrap it up pretty easily within an hour, especially this one with no planning board articles on it.
So, the pre-town meeting educational session, what time to start? 6 p.m.?
6?
Does that work for everybody on the 24th?
Where?
Where? Here?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was, yeah, yes. It would, I don't know where you'd want to have it, either here or, last time we had it right at Wacona.
You got Wacona, right? We should go to Wacona. We had a pretty good turnout for it last time. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. That night works for everybody, 6 p.m.?
Yep.
Okay,
6 to 7?
24th,
We're going.
Wacona, yep.
That's not Memorial Day,
No, that's
No.
till May.
is it? Oh, April.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry.
The 19th is a holiday.
Entire,
April 19th is a
usually
holiday.
I'm just a week off.
Okay. All right, cool. Town manager update?
I don't have anything at this point since last week.
Any future agenda items? We got a request from Mr. Joe Sheen to address the board, so we're gonna, Mr. Hutchinson, gonna put him on the agenda for the 10th.
Sure.
Any items not anticipated 40 hours before? Mark, the school resource officer, when you want to bring that back?
Yeah, I want to just leave that hanging out there right now.
Okay.
I know there's work in progress on it,
Okay,
so I just want to see what ground we're making on behind the scenes there, and then we can bring it up.
do we have the list of current, future agenda items? Yeah.
Yes, there's one,
What's up, Bob?
there's one in.
Yeah. Okay. All right, anything on that list, Jim's, that has to come forward next week?
I believe the Zinkies will be next week.
Yeah.
Zinkies, yeah.
Okay. And probably an update on the Barton property? Okay. Any items not anticipated 40 hours before the meeting? Hearing none, any remarks to the select board?
Yes, Mr.
Mr.
Chairman.
Boyle?
I was talking to the emergency management person yesterday. And why was that? Because he lives next door to me. But beside that, we had a really in-depth discussion regarding evacuation plans in the event of a train derailment up here and behind my house, or hate to bring that up, but you
Yeah,
know,
that's,
fact of life.
yeah.
Now people are starting to ask about that. John, what's in those trains that go through here? Well, everything. Anyway, talking to Glenn, he's developing evacuation plans in the event of this. And he pointed out that it's vital to this evacuation plan that Gulf Road be open. And I said, hey, good point. It's been over a year now since Pittsfield had the football to fix that beaver dam hole in the road. And nothing's happened, but I think it's important for us to get that up and running.
I think the last update, John, I got was that they had done what they needed to do out there, but it was towards the end of last year.
Yeah.
It was gonna be open for like a week or two, so
Yeah.
they opted not to open it last year, right? I think if we talked to Bud
Yeah.
about it, I think everything's probably all set to open it up.
But if we're
Yeah.
talking about emergency management evacuation, it's a full year access road then.
Yeah, but
So
you
what
know,
you're asking for is to be paved or accessible all year round.
That is a scenic road, so I don't know if it's ever gonna get paved.
So it can't be part of our emergency management plan, I guess is my point.
well, in the event of a disaster, people have to get out, if this intersection is blocked right down here, they have to get out of town somehow.
If it's closed,
If it's closed, well, then they have to turn around and go towards Windsor, I guess, or Hinsdale.
yeah, so
But yeah, I
that's
just
what this-
mentioned, it's
yeah.
in the plans, and it's not open, so we should make every effort to make sure it's open.
Well,
But it can be.
Maybe a future agenda, we can have Glenn come here and present where he is in that planning. because I hear what Mr. Boyle is saying, and I hear it, but it's not a full access road all year round if there's a disaster,
No, it's not.
right? Pick your summer, hopefully a disaster happens when that road's open, right, if you're gonna have one, but
Yeah.
hopefully it doesn't happen at all, just to be clear. But yeah, it's, City of Quincy actually just did a drill for
Yeah.
the train derailments. And-
No kidding.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. It's becoming a big question, but yeah. Could we pay with that, couldn't we pay with that?
Maybe we should, before,
I cannot believe it will be.
Joe, maybe before we get bothered, Glenn's in the early stages of this.
Yeah.
So we just,
When he's ready.
if John says Bud's coming in sometime, right?
Yeah, still has.
At that point in time, why don't we ask Bud if he has a timetable, or is gonna open at its regular time this year?
Okay.
Then, at a later date, discuss the viability of it being a year-round escape hatch road.
Okay. Any other remarks to the select board? Here are none. Announcements. Annual car permits, bag stickers, recycling-only car permits are available for purchase at the transfer station and on the town's website. The town of Dalton currently has the following job opportunities: a highway mechanic, a building and grounds assistant. If interested, please visit the town's website or call the town manager's office for more information. There are numerous committees and boards with vacancies. Please see the town website for more information or reach out to the town manager's office. Dalton Police Department would like to remind the citizens of Dalton of the winter parking ban which went into effect on November 15, 2022 and will remain in effect through April 15, 2023. There is no parking on streets between 1 a.m. and 6 a.m. Is your electricity bill too high? The town has contracted with Colonial Power to provide an electricity plan for town residents that takes advantage of joining with other communities to have a larger customer base for negotiations, which has resulted in prices significantly lower than current Eversource prices. Please note this may not always be the case. For more detail or to opt in or out, visit the town's website or call the town manager's office. Dalton Housing Authority is seeking volunteers to fill 2 vacant seats on its board. Must be a resident of Dalton. Please call 413-684-1470 for more information. Next meeting is scheduled to take place on Monday, April 10th at 7 p.m. at the Senior Center with an option for remote participation. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second? Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Good night, Dalton. Thank you.